Some people want to live their lives to the fullest, but what they don't realize is their triggers have been the thing that has kept them caged in and limited from their potential being maximized. All of us have triggers. As a matter of fact, everybody has triggers, and the more triggers you have, the more all over the place you can find yourself. Somebody says, well, you just never know. Brady, have you ever dealt with anybody who said, you just never know? Anything could set him off. Anything could set her off. You know, I mean, a look. Some people, a look triggers them. Come on. A look triggers them. Some people, you raise your voice and watch this with it. I can't hear you. I was in a meeting sometime back. Somebody said, I can't hear you. Then I raised my voice and I went, don't raise your voice at me. Hold on. Don't raise your voice. Then watch this. And my trigger, you got to know your triggers. My trigger, Kim, my trigger, Brady, is when somebody's trying to talk. Watch this. They trying to talk back hard at me. So watch this. They said they can't hear me. I then raise my voice. Then they say, don't raise your voice to me. And one of my trigger is watch how you give me instructions. Watch how you give me instruction. And so I'm real big on a trigger for me is if somebody gets defensive real fast. That's a trigger for me. You get defensive. I go into pitbull mode from the streets. I'm ready to like square off. You just got to know, what is my trigger? What is it that I have to pay attention to that puts me in a bad place? Now, some trigger moves you towards aggression. It moves you towards an angry place. But there are some people who have triggers that actually pulls them down to a suppressed place where they're quiet, they're reserved, they're disconnected. And you're like, what caused her to be disconnected? She used to be all in. Now she's not even all there. What's going on with her? Something triggered her. Something triggered her. Some people have left churches because something triggered them. Some people have left departments. Some people have left jobs. Some people have left because they have not taken the time to identify their trigger. You got a lot going for you, but you're not winning in life because you may have not paid attention to your triggers, and your triggers could be the thing that is hurting you. Okay? Or any man who talked to me this kind of way. Minister Evelyn Schaefer's, you and I could have done this conversation together. Minister Evelyn is a specialist when it comes to talking about addictive behavior and harmful behavior that people often struggle with. And Miss Evelyn, we're talking about triggers today. Triggers. Now, most of the time, people think about the triggers that cause someone to drink. Some people think about the trigger that will cause somebody to go back and use drugs. And they say, oh, it just, he was clean for 6 months. And he just went on over there by his ex house, and his ex just talked to him like a dog. And now he's back at the bar. He's drinking again. How many of y'all know what I'm talking? I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth. I'm trying to help somebody this morning. Okay, I'm not a therapist. I highly suggest that when you find that you have all types of triggers, and listen, man, get help. Get professional help. Okay, I'm a big fan of getting a therapist. I believe everybody should have a therapist. I think everybody should, just like you do an annual physical, I think you should do an annual checkup. See where you are in your mental space. Now, one of the things you're going to learn about effective living as a community, we're going to touch it all. There is no elephant in the room. There's no skeleton in the closet. If you can't go there, you're in a bad place. Minister Evelyn, do you agree with that? If a person can't go there, they're in a bad place. And here's the deal. You need to be able to go anywhere in your life and address whatever needs to be addressed. I'm not going there. I'm not talking to nobody about that. I don't ever want to touch that. I don't ever want to touch that. And that will be the thing that causes you to limit yourself from ever being your best self. It'll be the weight that will keep you in a low place. Yeah. It'll be the weight. And hey, denial is real. Okay. And so I wrote this down. Self-awareness is fundamental to managing your triggers. Write that down. Self-awareness. Okay. Self-awareness is fundamental in managing your triggers. Listen, ooh, Coach Deborah, I've come a long way. He's brought me from a mighty long way. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. One of my triggers, boy, one of my triggers, and I'm grateful. That's why I don't like being in an aggressive environment. I don't like being in an aggressive environment, because if somebody just turn at me a little, just if somebody turn at me like they come in for me, you could be rest assured somebody can get knocked out. And I'm as young as I used to be to throw as fast as I used to throw, Jamal, but I still got a good reflex, and my mind still telling me I can hold my own. So, but here's the deal. I had to know. Oh man, Miller, you don't do well in aggressive environments. And then so I had to learn, if I don't do well in aggressive environment, there are others who are around me who may not do well in aggressive environment. But because I don't like people coming for me. If I feel as though you coming for me, I'm gonna meet you where you at. Okay? If I feel like you coming for me, I'm gonna meet you where you want me to meet you. Where you want me to meet you, on the playground? Where you want me to meet you, on the street? Where you want me to meet you, in the parking lot? Come on, wait, where you want me to meet you? Right, Pastor Claire? So don't come like you're coming for me. Just, when you're dealing with those with the gorillas, they say don't look them in the eye. If you're trying to be hardcore with me, don't look me in the eye like you're squaring off at me, because I want. Hey, listen. Back in the day, they say you froggy jump. You feeling froggy? Jump. You feeling froggy? Jump. So here's the deal. Triggers. Self-awareness is fundamental to managing your triggers. So yesterday I asked everybody to go ahead and write down your big three. What's your big three? And I want you to put it in the comment section. What's your big three? What's the things you got to watch, man? Like for me, one of my big three, come on, put yours in there. One of mine is, aggression. I don't do well with aggression. Hey man, that's not necessary. Don't come at me like that. That's not necessary, because I match. Watch this. And I had to stop. My wife told me to stop saying this, and she's helping me so much. But I tell people I match energy. Okay, I match energy, and I'm talking about in a negative way. Okay, if you won't go there, you know what we used to say in E.P. Roberts: one mama didn't born no crazy child. Not only one mama born a crazy child. There's, So I match energy, and I had to stop saying that. Brady, I had to stop saying that. Coach Deborah, I had to stop saying that, because it's actually not a good comment, because it really speaks to the fact that you are aware. Okay, no, I'm not matching energy no more. Brady, I let it go now. I let it go. As a matter of fact, I let it go so much that I've learned what to ignore. I had to listen. When we talk about this, you have to learn what to ignore. Like literally, don't let it. I don't like how she looked at me. I don't like. Oh, he didn't talk to me this time. There are some people who get triggered because you didn't talk to them. I told you one of those other ones is ignoring me too. I don't like people ignoring me. That's a trigger. Okay. Certain words are triggers. I like that. Certain words. Okay. My wife said, listen, ladies and gentlemen, my wife said I've gotten so much better. Hey, babe, we're going to have to go on a date because you just said that just now. Public confession. Praise the Lord. I came clean. Let me tell you something. You want to address your triggers. You got to address your triggers. Now, you got to write this down. I just said it right now. Self-awareness is fundamental in managing your triggers. Now, a lot of people, they're not spending any time with themselves, Kim. They're not spending any time with themselves, Pastor Claire. And what I mean when I say spending time with themselves, right? Here's what the Bible says. The Bible says in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26, it says, be angry and sin not. Be angry and sin not. Your emotions are there for a reason, I'm not telling anybody to suppress your emotions. I'm telling you, you could feel what you feel, but you have to learn how to manage what you feel. Okay? Let me say that again. You could feel what you feel, but you got to learn how to manage what you feel. Come on, man. I am 47 years old. At this age, you still letting the thing that triggered you in elementary school trigger you at 47? The thing that triggered you in middle school, you still letting that trigger you? I mean, come on, man. That relationship, The relationship has been gone 10 years. The relationship has been dead 20 years. And it's a trigger. A person can be a trigger. A name can be a trigger. Words can be a trigger. How many of y'all know there are some atmospheres that's triggers? And me and RJ went into a barbershop years ago. I told RJ, I can't stay. Let's move. Let's move. We got his hair cut, and then Jamal, I had to leave. I told him, I said, oh no, this type of sport cost me to want to go back in the car and park. I'm like, okay, I have to come in here loaded. I need to go manage the society. Oh no, this is not the place for me. You gotta know there are some places that are not for you. There are some people that are not for you. There are certain practices that are not for you. There are some people, listen, they in church, they love God, but they haven't even dealt with their sexual triggers. Okay, they love God. Listen, they're in church, they love God, but they haven't addressed their sexual triggers. They haven't addressed their anger triggers. You know, if somebody's a kleptomaniac, they don't even know why they're stealing. They just stealing stuff when what costs you the teeth, not say, right? What's causing you to take what doesn't belong to you? What's causing you to take what doesn't belong to you? What's causing you to fight with your spouse? What's causing you to be so angry? Oh man, you know what was the trigger for me? And I learned this from the Bahamas. When people say what? Oh, how many of you guys are from the Bahamas watching and listening right now? And you know that's a no. So I'm talking to somebody and they just turn around and say what? I had to learn since I moved to the United States that it's okay. It's just a very direct response as to I didn't hear you, and could you repeat that again? That's what I had to get it for. But in the Bahamas, what is very disrespectful. I don't know if it's still disrespectful. Pastor Claire, help me out. Okay, Linda, help me out. Is what as a teacher? Linda, you're an educator in the classroom. What? What is what a disrespectful feeling? Will it get to you? Will it get on your nerve? I remember that was a trigger word for me. I think I almost whooped. RJ gave him a whooping when he was but 9 or 10 when he said what? Did you just say what? Get me the belt. Come here. You got to learn how to. Right? So here's the deal. The Bible says, be angry and sin not. You can have your feelings. The question is, are you learning to manage your feelings, even though you're acknowledging that this is a feeling that you're having? A lot of people, oh God, I need you to help me to deal with my anger. The Bible said, be angry and sin not. You got to decide. Okay? In other words, you got to get so good at managing yourself that you could see Judas at the table and you don't get all up in your feelings and leave the table or kick Judas from the table. That's next level right there. We got the master example for that one. Y'all like that? That's next level. Listen, Coach Deborah, isn't that next level? Miss Cynthia, isn't that next level? Listen, you want to get your feelings under control so much that you can tell who Judas is at the table. And you don't get up in your feelings. I can tell you 20 people I know. If they know who Judas is at the table, they're not even wanting to come to the table. Oh, man. Miss Cynthia, that's one for me too. It's disrespectful me. But here's the deal. What I had to learn, and we're going to talk about this week, guys. I have to finish this up. What I had to learn was a lot of what we talk about is our triggers. Don't get ahead of yourself. It's interpretation, it's perspective. I think Linda said it earlier. I think I saw Linda put a comment up here. And it's really a lot to do with how we view things. Because one person disrespect is a welcome form of communication. In other words, and so it's like art. It's like art. It's identified by art, beauty, and art. And they tell you, I think it's nice, and you think it's ugly. And some people I think that was disrespectful, and somebody said, I don't see anything wrong with it. And so that's why you got to put yourself in a place where you're not judging everything on this extreme. You're just judging. I don't like how he was so direct. Where's that coming from? So let's go into this, okay? This is where we dive in deeper. You got to go in deeper. If you're going to deal with your triggers, I had to go in and deal with my triggers. I haven't fought in about 25 years. You know, I think one time I was on Buckner. Okay, I'm going to tell a true story. I was on Buckner getting my tires changed. I had some 24s on a car back in the day. I see, even the car I was driving, I had to tell myself that's not good. It's not welcoming the right energy. So I had some 24s on this car. And I pull up at Buckner. I told the guy, hey, don't use the power wrench. Use the traditional, because it's an old school car. He said, okay. And long story short, I don't like when people don't listen and they stuck on stupid and it's hot and everything. This dude put the power wrench, and right when he put the power wrench on, I ran over there to say, hey, man, don't put the power wrench on the car. And on here, snap. He broke one of the bolts. And he goes, oh, man, I grabbed him at the throat. And almost threw him across the hood of my car. And then I stood up on the light and I look around and I realized, oh, Lord Miller, you just grabbed the guy at the throat. And I realized, hey, man, forgive me. Sorry, I'm out of here. He said, hey, we can fix it. I said, no, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Did you know I got rid of that car after that? I got rid of that car. That car was too connected to too much of stuff that I just don't want to be affiliated with anymore. So here's the deal. You got to go a little bit deeper and you got to start realizing there is some stuff you've been carrying along the way that you haven't addressed, and now it's hurting you. It's hurting you. Your spouse is hurting you. Your children, it's hurting you. You've hold on to stuff you learned from your mama. Under what your mama didn't learn, it was a trigger for her, and now it's a trigger for you. How many of y'all know there are some generational triggers? There are some cultural triggers. Okay, man, you go ahead and say the N-word at the wrong time. The rapper could say the N-word, but a Caucasian can't say the N-word. A Hispanic, all depending on how you use the N-word. Hold on, what's going on with all of that? What's going on with all of that? What's going on? What's going on, right? So here's the deal. What exactly is being said to trigger your reaction? What is being said that triggers your reaction? You got to ask yourself, at the very core, what is being said that's triggering your reaction? Come on, man, there's some women, they don't even know that, listen, if a dude figure out your trigger word, it's all over for you because you haven't even realized, oh, don't do this. It's over for me. I don't really want to free it up. I don't want to give none. I feel as though, I don't want to do it. But I got triggers, and you got to know how to not put yourself in harm's way. Same thing with some guys. Hey, man, I'm trying to go clean. I'm trying to live right. Okay. But then you go ahead, for me, when I was single, when I was living by myself, I don't want to talk to you late at night. I don't need nobody coming around me late at night. That's just not a good deal. Jamal, did you hear me? Did you hear me, Kendrick? Where the brothers at? Listen, after hours, I don't need to be on no phone. After hours, I don't need nobody coming around. It was just Jamal, did you hear that? I'm just telling you. You just gotta know. You gotta know. Some people, they drink their wine and stuff. You gotta know, if you drink wine, what happens every time you drink wine? You gotta realize you start talking where you ain't supposed to be talking. You start doing what you ain't supposed to be doing. And now you're regretful because you're in a bad place, because you've practiced behaviors because of triggers that have occurred that's not you anymore. But it is you because you haven't addressed it. So let's ask this question. Does it matter who is saying it? Somebody said, watch this. It's okay for my brother to say it, but you can't say it. It's okay for my sister to say it, but you can't say it. Huh? Okay? It doesn't matter who's saying it. Okay? My co-worker could say it to me, but my boss can't say it to me. What's that about? A lot of people are not going deep enough to address where they need to be. That's why I'm free, man. I'm free. There's no elephant in the room. There's no skeleton in the closet. I'm calling it all out. As I move towards 50, I realize, man, I don't want to live a lie. And I don't want to live bound by previous practices that kept me from being my best self. Okay? So, does it matter what time of the day the trigger occurs? Does it matter? Have you realized you're not a morning person? How many of y'all realize, boy, mornings gets me in trouble? If I end up in a meeting in the morning, I'm a little bit too harsh, I'm a little bit too brass, I'm a little bit too much. Or there are some people after certain hours. After certain hours, you want to give them their space. They're just not best for late meetings. Have you identified timelines, early mornings? What about your mornings that you have not learned to manage? Write that down. What about my mornings I have not learned to manage? What about my evenings I have not learned to manage? What about people relationships that I have not learned to manage? That I have not learned to manage. Remember this, people, as I close this out. Effective living is all about management. A bunch of people are punking out. Now, yeah, people talk all kind of weak stuff, and they just try to leave it as it's culture. That's how I was brought up. It's the devil. No, it's lack of self-control. It's lack of self-awareness. It's failing to do the work. It's failing to do the work. If I could change, you could change. If Jesus could have Judas at the table and not kick Judas from the table, or if Jesus could be at the table with Judas and know who Judas is and not leave the table because he's all up in his feelings, you too can have a level of mastery over your feelings. Effective living is all about management. Somebody said, well, you know what? That's just how I've been for a long time. And that's how you continue to be, because you keep settling. You keep settling that as your position. Well, Pastor, you don't understand. Coach, you don't understand. As long as you keep telling me that, I just leave people like that on the side. Just get out of my way. I can't help you. I can't help. I've come to accept this, Miss Cynthia. I can't help everybody. I know that. And no one person can help everybody, because some people, listen, man, even God himself doesn't force us to do what he is calling us to do. Okay, so we can have people in this community who still deal with triggers after a full week of sit down, identify your 3 big triggers, and then go ahead. Here's what I understand. Understand what comes right before the triggers. Is it a text? Is it a phone call? Is it a long, busy day? Is it right before? Listen, some people, after they don't look at their bills, after they don't look at their bank statement, what's the trigger? Listen, somebody, you touch them on the arm, it just changes everything. Come on, rub them in the back of the neck, it's a trigger. What is it? Somebody raised their voice at you? Go ahead and ask yourself, what comes before that? And then ask yourself, am I studying me enough to make sure I'm not repeating behaviors that's not good for me? Am I studying me enough to look at the behaviors to ensure that I'm not repeating behaviors that are not good for me? Listen, guys, tomorrow we're going to come back again. I don't want to do it all here. I don't want to take your morning up in its entirety. I just know you got to go in a little bit deeper. So what I want you to do, homework today. Yesterday, I talked about go ahead and identify your top 3. Most of the studies that I've done in dealing with triggers, they say your top 3 is almost attached to all of the other triggers. If you can identify your main top 3 triggers, you'd find that almost everything else root themselves or attach themselves to your top 3. Now, today, what I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and start looking at what comes before the trigger. You shouldn't, it's that hour, that time of the night, you shouldn't be going. Well, you can't do the drinks. You can't do aggressive environments. Brady, I don't do aggressive environments. Okay? Doesn't matter what time does it occur. Am I tired? When I'm tired and I'm stressed, am I triggered more? Okay, you want to know. Okay, take full ownership of your career, take full ownership of your personal development. Don't rely on external factors. Go ahead and start looking at yourself. So take your journal out, take some time and put a note and say, these are my triggers. These aren't good for me. Even spending triggers and eating triggers. Come on. And even how your mind plays tricks on you. Some people, they get in their head. I post something and nobody liked it, or watch this, I walk in the room and no one said anything to me, or watch this, I got angry at this person because they did this to me, and what's setting you off? what's setting me off? And I need to know. The three things that has hurt me the most that can be attached to a trigger, I need to get under control. But here's the deal. When you go to your therapist, you're going to be like, I know what my three top triggers are. They're going to, how did you know that already? Oh, my life management coach, Ricardo Miller. This brother be trying to stir it up. And then he sends us to therapists. He sends us to go find a pastor. He sends us to a financial planner. He sends us to a fitness trainer. He sends us because I'm not claiming to be a specialist. I'm claiming to be a realist. I want to help you to wake up the greatness within. And when you find that there is something blocking you from the greatness, I'm telling you, go find a specialist. Everybody need a therapist in the area where they're struggling the most. A financial therapist, a psychological therapist. Come on, you might need a sex therapist. Hello, come on, go ahead and get a health and fitness therapist. Go ahead, get a spiritual therapist. Allow someone to take you where you need to go to fix what needs to be fixed. Remember this, guys. Everybody knows this if you've been around effective living for a while. Someone is assigned to help you. Don't do it alone. Okay? And get out of your own way. When you find the instructor who's assigned to help you, learn to submit and get out of your way. Because guess who's messed your life up the most up to this point? You. You just don't want to take that responsibility because you're blaming your high school teacher. You're blaming your single mama. You're blaming your parents. You're blaming the pastor. You're blaming the boss. You're blaming your ex. When the reality of it is, we are the subtotal of the choices and the decisions we make. So if I notice my decisions haven't been working favorable for me up to this point, I may need to take a look at my decision. And a lot of my triggers are attached to bad decision-making moments in my life. My triggers are often attached to my bad decision-making moments. So now I don't know how to control these triggers. Someone is assigned to help you. If you haven't gotten my book, Effective Living, go to my website and order the book today. I'm rereading it this entire month. It's on Audible now. So let me tell you something. Get yourself a copy. You can go to my website, ricardomiller.com, and get your copy. Guys, I love and appreciate you all. Don't forget, on Friday, you're going to be able to ask questions. Ask the coach. God bless you guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.